All right, so now we're in the dairy department, and we're first going to talk about yogurt. So yogurt's great. It's got lots of good probiotics, great source of calcium, vitamin D, especially good for little ones. I give my 6-month-old whole milk yogurt. She loves it, eats it right up. It's a great source of protein. The biggest thing here is just there's so many choices. I remember about 10, 15 years ago when I first started working with clients, and there was not nearly as many choices as yogurt as there are now. So make sure you're reading labels again here. The biggest difference when it comes to the different types of yogurts is how it's prepared, right? So there's like the regular yogurts that are a little bit more creamy, and then you've got Greek yogurts, which are a little bit thicker and higher in protein. It's all about how that yogurt's prepared. So Greek yogurt is actually strained, which increases its protein content. My biggest thing that I recommend to clients is to look out for all the added sugar in the fruit flavored. My favorite is just a plain Greek yogurt. I'll drizzle my own honey or my own sweetener, some granola, some fruit in there. That's a great option for controlling how much added sugar is in there. But there are different options. There's 100% whole fruit that's added to some of the yogurts. Just really read those labels. You'll probably notice on those labels that, you know, there is some added sugars, and then there's some total sugar. There's some natural sugar that's coming from the lactose that's naturally in the milk. So it's nice that you can now read a label and see how much is actually added versus naturally in there. And again, just like the cereal, we want to keep it to 10 grams or less of added sugar. Ideally, look for one that maybe has more protein in it than sugar added to it. But the best thing you can do from a gut health standpoint is just consume yogurt once a day or some kind of probiotic containing food. I love yogurt plain as a snack, but I also love adding it to smoothies, or I'll use a product called kefir, which is essentially drinkable yogurt, high in protein, also a fermented food, so it's got those gut health benefits as well. Another thing here is, again, let's look for the store brand if possible to save a little bit of money, as well as the larger containers versus the small serve. So that's going to help from a food waste standpoint, but also be more affordable. Typically those large containers are going to be a little bit more affordable. Another thing I'll use yogurt for sometimes is in place of things like sour cream or something that's maybe a little bit higher in fat. It's a great way to get a little bit more protein, a little bit more nutrition from the food. So now that we've talked about yogurt, let's talk about the original dairy food, milk. We'll move just to the left here and talk a little bit more about milk. So now we're in the milk department, or the milk section of the dairy department. And when it comes to milk, your best bet is always to go with cow's milk from a nutritional standpoint, but also for your pocketbook. So there's lots of different options in the milk department now. Whenever possible, try to choose cow's milk first. You can go, the main differences when it comes to 1% skim, 2% or whole, the biggest difference there is just the fat content. So you're still getting the same amount of protein per cup, vitamin A, vitamin D, all those 9 essential nutrients in milk, regardless of fat content. The only thing that differs is the amount of fat. So I usually used to say 10, 15 years ago, we told people skim milk only all the time. As a dietitian, that was what I was taught. We're learning now from the research, though, that the type of fat in milk is not as bad for us as we once thought from a cardiovascular standpoint. For multiple different reasons, it's more satiating. So if you do like whole milk in your family, as long as it's part of a healthy diet, it's definitely okay to continue including that. Especially for your kiddos, it's good to have that whole milk in the first few years of life. So definitely choose cow's milk first. If you have a lactose intolerance, then there are lactose-free options. Lactate is a great one. There's lactose-removed options. There's even milk now that's ultra-pasteurized and ultra-filtered, so it's higher in protein, lower in added sugar, carbohydrates. So it's a great option. The brand most people are familiar with is Fairlife, but that's another great option that you can include that's lactose-free. So for lactose-intolerant individuals, those are some great options. Remember too, if you're lactose-free or a lactose-intolerant individual, you can still eat dairy and you should still be including it. The severity of your symptoms will actually be improved if you continue to include forms of dairy in your diet. So lactose-free milk, yogurt, and hard cheeses typically are well tolerated, and they also provide you with that essential calcium, vitamin D, and protein. So try to incorporate those more into your diet as well. All right, so with the plant-based options, if you have a milk allergy and you have to resort to one of those, I typically recommend soy milk. It's the closest comparison to cow's milk. You'll get close to the same amount of protein and calcium. Often with those plant-based alternatives, those calcium, vitamin D, all of that's added and it tends to sink to the bottom. So the other thing to keep in mind is to shake it before you serve it so that you're getting all those vitamins and minerals that have been added to it. Those ingredient lists are important again to look at. If you look at milk, there's really no ingredients, it's just milk. But when you look at the plant-based alternatives, there are a lot of ingredients, so watch out for some of those added sugars and things like that. We definitely want to compare and contrast. But again, if you're just lactose intolerant, there's definitely some lactose-free options in the dairy department. And your best bet would just to be go with the regular cow's milk if possible. From a protein, from a nutrition standpoint, that's going to be your best bet for your dollar. All right, so last in the dairy department, we're going to talk about cheese. It's a great option from a protein standpoint. Also for lactose-free individuals, hard cheeses typically are better tolerated, so you can incorporate cheese into your diet as part of a healthy meal plan. Cheese does tend to be a little bit higher in fat, but again, as we're learning from the research, the type of fat in dairy foods isn't as bad for us as maybe we once thought 10, 15 years ago. So the big thing with cheese is watching our portion size. I like to go with strong flavored cheeses. I find a little bit goes a long way versus something that maybe is more mild. So I love a blue cheese, a goat cheese, a feta, Parmesan. All of those are great, and a little bit, like I said, goes a long way. I also like to pair them with a fruit or a vegetable, make a little snack tray like that. That makes that cheese go a little bit further. And then there's really great options, for little ones, cheese sticks, shredded cheese that makes a great snack. I always encourage clients and patients that I work with to incorporate a protein plus a carbohydrate and a fiber food as a healthy snack. It's going to make it go a little bit further. So cheese paired with a fruit, that's got your fiber and your carbohydrates, so you're getting a much more satiating snack, like a mini meal. So those Baby Bell cheeses, those are great. Those little rounds. Laughing Cow is a great one, makes those little spreadable cheeses. Or string cheese, as I mentioned, is a great option that you can throw into your child's lunch or for a snack on the go, and typically pretty affordable as well. The other thing with cheese is the portion size. It can be pretty easy to go overboard because everyone loves cheese. So watch that portion. It should be about an ounce to 2 ounces. So we're looking at size of your thumb again. That's going to be about the size of a couple servings of cheese. Or a slice of cheese would be kind of like, if anyone remembers CDs, those would be about the size of your portion of cheese if you're putting it on a sandwich. But a great source of calcium, protein, an easy way to add a lot of flavor to a snack. So last but not least, eggs are actually in the dairy department. They're not dairy foods, but they are usually housed in the same section of the grocery store. And I always get questions about eggs. It feels like one day they're in the news that they're good, the next day the news says they're bad. Typically, I think eggs are great. They've got a great source of protein. They've got a lot of vitamins and minerals in them. Yes, they do contain cholesterol, but we know that that's not going to impact our blood cholesterol as much. So 1 to 2 eggs a day is actually perfectly fine to incorporate into your meals, and they're very cost effective, very affordable. I would just go with regular old large eggs. You don't have to get any of the marketing. There's a lot of different types. You can just, if you're really watching your dollar, just go for regular large eggs. 1 to 2 a day is fine. Great source of protein, about 8 grams per egg. And so that's going to be a great way to add in some protein. And even I'll have them for dinner because it's sometimes just an easy way to get in some good protein in the evening meal. And again, really affordable. So I am a big believer in eggs. 1 to 2 a day is totally fine.